Tevez sta solo, Tevez all'interno dell'area, ma fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro, gol.
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel where of course it's all Juve all the time. We are coming off the 2-1 defeat to PSG in the Champions League. I've got Laniel Vanducci here with me today, and hey Luca, very nice. Obviously this is Luca. We're gonna tackle the aftermath match because yet again you have a Juventus match and you have mixed feelings about what exactly went down. So we're going to break it all down. We're going to tackle the news first, but I want to get some of the business out of the way. Just want to remind everybody who's tuning into this podcast on your audio outlet, get over to the channel, subscribe. Okay, it pays to see all Juve casts as well, and join the AJC. And the AJC gave away 3 kits for the 22, and that's not going to be the last of those kits. Okay, so congratulations to those winners on yesterday's live. We had a very awesome gem from Fayez Alfayez who could not leave the jersey, so he actually chose another member in the live chat to give away to. So it was actually really. As far as our live chat here, then get to the YouTube channel. You guys are on fire since 5 a.m. We're starting this 5:45 my time. So let's check it. We got Jeremiah, guys. We are currently playing worse than Chelsea, and Max weirder than Tuchel gets sacked today. So he fell 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb today, and they're about 5 points off the pace in England. Juve's 4 points off the pace in Italy, and we drop points to PSG. Obviously, not the opponent that Dinamo Zagreb is. So Chelsea pulls the trigger, hires Tuchel, and this gets Juventini in this mode that should not hold back and wait an entire season for Max. Don't you worry, everybody. We will be talking about that. Good morning, Vito and the AJC Army. Good morning, Bob, Yoga, Sal, everybody. Guys are already talking about replacements. Dan, it's we're gonna get into everything here, okay? And we're gonna kick it off with the news, okay? We always started off with the news. There's a little bit of news here today, not lots, but in terms of the press conference immediately after PSG, Max just basically spoke saying that we're going to have Di Maria and Tech back for the PSG return leg. He also said maybe Chiesa as well, which obviously would not be in line with everything else we've been hearing on his timetable. So yes, yet again, we'll have to see and figure this out. In terms of Pogba, his surgeon today basically saying that it's going to be 8 weeks. It is 8 weeks, all right, for his return. Again, things are all over the map now, 8 weeks, okay? In terms of the other news, not a whole bunch. The youngsters, Miretti, Fagioli, and Sule, will be holding a press conference tomorrow. I don't really know what that's all about. Cherubini and Arriva Bene also there, probably to shine a light on this youth project. And I have some feelings about that, but yeah, that's kind of it for all the news. Everybody's saying that my voice is repeating in the live chat. There's a bit of an echo there. I'm not sure. I haven't touched anything audio-wise, so I can't speak to that. Let me know if it continues. Hopefully a little bit better. And yeah, Jeremiah saying audio issues. I cannot really explain it. Nothing's changed. Let me try something.
In the meantime,
Luca, you're experiencing it big time.
Oh yeah,
distorted.
That's not good.
Yeah, very, very distorted and strong. I wonder if there was something coming through there. Animesh saying it's fine now.
Huh.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything yet.
Okay. Could be just the internet. I don't know. Could be Wi-Fi. But you are very distorted now. You're coming through too strong, too powerful. Back down.
The audio or the video?
The audio.
Okay. We're going to tone it down just a tad.
Just a tad. Jeremiah saying all clear, all good.
All clear?
Okay, we're good.
But closed and reopened. Sound okay now? Okay.
You sound better now. Okay.
Okay. We'll take it one second at a time.
Okay, and this is a nice thing about the live, because if we were just recording this, we wouldn't have noticed. But you guys, thanks for the help. Okay,
we've got support.
This. So on the news, no real idea as far as why we are having this youth press conference, whatnot. Obviously, probably to the work that Cherubini had done with side, and they continue to sign good, talented youngsters. So probably just highlighting that, and the fact that these guys are actually integrated now. So probably just speaking to that. In terms of the players, Max is talking about back for November's PSG. We've got to get to the actual discussion of this match. Okay, let's get into the match, Luca. So this one yesterday for the lineups. Okay, we had exactly what was expected. 3-5-2. Pedin, Nucci, Quadrado, Rabiot, Paredes, Kostic, Miretti, Vlahovic, and Milik. Did you have any issues with that starting? Were you okay with it? How did you feel?
We're apparently having that same issue again right now with the repeating. So I don't know if you want to tackle this now before we get into it, or
I can't unfortunately change anything else. I don't know. And if I shut it down, we're
down because you're hosting. Oof.
Yeah.
It's probably just internet. But is it for me and you, or is it just
Anthony's telling it.
Al sounds good. Yeah, you sound good on my end. That's what's weird.
You sound good on my end too. So it could be internet with the viewers. It could be the stream coming through. I'm not sure.
I rarely trust Anthony's opinion and his word, but hey, right now I'll take it. Yeah. Okay, so let's hit the lineup. Look, considering our injuries, considering everyone's form, considering what Max has been trending with, there was no surprise to see the 3-5-2. I was more than okay with it. How it actually played out, that's another conversation which we'll probably have now that we dive into the first half. So what are your thoughts in the first half, first 20 minutes, first 45 minutes? Break it down for us.
Well, we'll get as far as the line. I thought, I had things. Number one, we haven't used the 3-2. So it was like, how are we going to be with this? Is it going to work? Is it going to be strong? It made sense as to why you would do it, because you've got backs that you want to try and slow down, which we kind of did, okay, but not fully. So you have that. You want your midfield 3 in no matter what. We had midfield 3 in. I still didn't like the fact we were gonna work off one side and not centrally to everybody up. But I was the 3-5-2. It made sense. Okay. In terms of the game itself, how it played out, I just asked for one thing. I asked for them to essentially, basically, just one inspired performance, show heart, show fight. Now, this is the part that is mixed between Juventini and how they feel, and we're going to get into that, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to get into these highlights, basically. 5 minutes in, Mbappe strikes. Now, it's like, again, are we pedestrians on this play? Is it a world-class goal? Absolutely, it's a world-class goal.
Yeah, it's like $400 million goal.
That 7 of us can't do better against 2 players, regardless if they're world-class. We were slow to mark on Neymar. Okay. Rabiot let his man run by Mbappe. Obviously, he's not going to fall him back because we have defenders back there. You have Quadrado. You have Bremer. Bremer did not follow the run in. He stayed forward. Bonucci late to pick up the man getting behind Bremer.
Shocking.
It was, for me, very, very pedestrian and didn't match that aggression we should have had. It was a little too easy. I was pissed off by it. Again, a lot of people are trying to just wave it off because, there's nothing you can do on that. It's a world-class goal. That doesn't sit well with me. Luca, how do you feel?
it was a world-class goal. Like you look at the price tag of the two guys who linked up there, and it's worth more than our entire squad together. But that's besides the fact. I mean, we've played in situations before where we've played prime Barcelona, prime Real Madrid, and you know what? We've shut down a lot more in the past. So this whole I want to say perspective that because they're worth so much, it's okay to let them through. I didn't really stand for that. And as someone who values good defending, that was awful defending. I mean, just forget man marking. You are maybe triple the amount of players around this specific attacking duel. Like you were maybe at least 6 guys around that entire area. So yes, it was a beautiful play, but at least put pressure on the guy. At least follow the player. I was dumbfounded by the fact that there was no movement. Paredes just watched as Neymar flicked it, and Cuadrado wasn't even close enough to pressure him. And then Bremer obviously was pushing up because no one was moving. So then he's out of position. He's in no man's land. And Bonucci is somewhere eating a gelato. I don't know what he was thinking for the entirety of the game. So that one, I mean, yeah, beautiful goal, beautiful finish. Perin has, I mean, he got his hands on it, I think, but there's not much more he could do. It's a beautiful strike. And
crazy to get hands to that one. It was a hell of a strike. But again, for me, it felt very, very pedestrian. And depending on the type of gelato, I mean, it could be excused.
As long as we don't get Joe into this conversation, because he's going to start bringing up these weird flavors, like I don't want to hear about pineapple gelato.
Tech would have saved it.
Okay, kick him out right now. Get him out.
Tech would have saved that.
Get him out. I don't want to see him.
I don't want to start the show on a negative note. Luca, relax.
Nice to see you, buddy.
He got a hand on it, though.
You got a hand on it. Yeah.
If you can get your hands to it, you can save it, but it's a hell of a goal.
I'm going to wrap up these highlights. I'm going to, now that Ant's here, to try and save my audio because people are still saying it's a little, it's echoing. So while Ant's here, let's wrap up these highlights into everything. So 18 minutes later, you got a great stop by Donnarumma and a header from Milik. We tried to, he put right at him though. So it's still, it was a hard header, but it was very, very close to Donnarumma. So easier for him to react. He gets it. We tried to backheel it from Vlahovic, falls to Kostic. I thought maybe Kostic could have feinted that, cut in on his right, but he wants to shoot left. But his angles were always off when he was lining up those left-footed shots.
Like 2 volleys that went to right. I think he's going for the deflection, though.
I think he was looking for a tip in
that thing.
That's a good call, Luca.
It's more deadly.
22 minutes, we lose yet again. We allow Verratti come in and carry in Danilo, obviously communicating with Kostic there, and a little mix-up there. Kostic didn't follow Hakimi. Danilo got caught between Verratti and Hakimi. Neither one of them follows. Verratti into Mbappe to back to Mbappe. Boom, in the back of the net, and very, very easy. Too easy. 2-0 down. And then, not much rest of the first half. PSG controlling. Second half, McKennie on for Miretti. And a lot of you were kind of fired up about that. I even said on the watch line, go Checo, because usually when we bitch the most about a max change, sometimes something happens. Sure enough, 53rd minute, McKennie gets to a header. 2-1. There's hope there.
Yeah, but Miretti had a yellow, and he's a young guy. They're going to draw him into a second yellow. That's a good change.
Yep.
Okay, take it easy.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying people complain about that change. It was a smart change.
We can dive into it if you like.
They wanted the dynamic attacking, but whatever. I said McKennie. It also switched to a 4-4. So
yes,
to a 4-4-2, McKennie on, and they basically try to put more of a press up top. Still not cohesive when we do try to press. However, a bit better. PSG still, for me, the rest of this way out in this game, they created at will when they wanted to. For us, there was still not enough pressure, not enough push. There was a point in that match where you say, okay, you're gonna lose 2-1. Unleash, like get after it. Because if you lose 2-1, you lose 3-1. Come on, Like, get after that a bit more. And it was too few and far between for opportunities. And I still look at how PSG could almost put you to sleep and slow the game down. And then in the wink of an eye, boom, 5 or 6 short passes, given goes. They got a great scoring opportunity. We're miles away from that level of football. And this is one of the problems with Juve currently. We try to play a slow, controlled game, but we're not skilled enough. So for me, I'd rather have them fight and be greasy and like get after it, because you can't, if you're going to surrender possession and you're going to surrender talent, how are you going to make up for that? Fight. You're going to make
Defend like hell.
fight and pressure and aggression. And we don't do that. We don't do that enough for me. So people were happy with that second half. Sure, it was better. But for me, PSG never had to get out of second gear. I don't even know if they truly hit second gear. That's just my personal feeling on this game. I'm going to leave you guys to get into your thoughts on this game. Was it good showing from Juve? Was PSG a little bit soft? I'm going to try and correct
This is going to get
telling me about
Yeah.
it. Okay?
Basically, Al, you sound like Max Headroom. You remember the guy, the Pepsi commercials from the 90s where he like skip? You kind of sound like him, but it's kind of cool. I was a little bit of a throwback, kind of getting back into my day. So, Luca, stop with the looking. Yeah, you're going to answer the question first. Second half.
I wasn't around in the 90s, so you got to make it clear.
Slappy.
Second half.
Oh, no. It's just me and you, buddy. This
is going to get real ugly, people. This could be real bad.
So, what were you thought
really good. Second half, I'll use my own words here. I think we were still a shit, but we were actually confident in our shit. I mean, it wasn't beautiful. It was actually rather scrappy and rather ugly, but there was a sense of these guys are human, it bleeds, like you could attack it after. There was a sense of this is not a team that is invincible. They can concede goals. They are human, let's attack, let's put some pressure on them. And I think that's the only way you can really approach a team like PSG. You can't sit back. It's not sustainable. And that goes for much of football nowadays. But second half was better. I think that 4-4-2 switch, as much as I have nightmares and PTSD about it, it worked.
You were saying that in the group chat. You're like, this is going to be bad. You had a lot to say about the 4-4-2 at halftime.
I don't think anybody wanted the 4-4-2. But you tell me, what did you think?
Well, my thing about the second half was that anytime we gave PSG openings, they exploited it. So anytime we gave them even if they came down 3-on-4, 4-on-4, they were dangerous every time they came down. And that goes to Al's point of the levels that they are above us.
Yeah.
I didn't mind but whenever we sat back and we forced turnovers, we looked dangerous when we went into the counterattack. So what I took from that second half was Max's game plan, is to say, listen, we can defend. We can't defend them 4-on-4. It has to be, we have to park it. Unfortunately, we have to park the bus a little bit with the 4-4-2. But when we got the turnovers and, Verratti wasn't in the way, we looked dangerous. We had, again, dangerous is, I use that term loosely because we only had maybe 3 chances in the second half.
They were shaky, though. Like, you saw that they were crumbling a bit. And I mean, it wasn't beautiful stuff. It was Kostic, sprinting like a madman and then swinging it to Duzan, hopefully for a header or something. But, when you look at that back line, that 3-man back that they have, and you're thinking, there's no way we get through this. We got through them a few times, it wasn't the scariest thing in the world. So, yes, I
just think, to Al's point, that PSG, if they wanted to score 6 more, I think they possibly could. I don't think they were scared of Juventus is going to tie this. Okay, well, we'll get a third. I don't really think they had that fear in them.
That's probably why.
A tie would have been good.
Yeah.
The result, I just liked how they played in the second half. Let's hopefully we can build from that.
Yeah, I just
and not have an absolute shit show against Salernitana.
Hopefully this is better audio wise, everybody. I can't help but feel that down. So
no, Bert, same issue. It's very weird. You got like the dial-up going on.
Max Headroom, man.
Max. Okay, I have no idea. I'm gonna look that up afterwards. I think
let's talk about your man of the match.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Before we jump to man of the match, to your point, I want to say because they weren't afraid, I think because PSG didn't have that sense of like, okay, these guys could probably take the game to us. That's why we kind of almost did. And I think if they had that fire, under their ass, maybe they would have, pumped 3 or more goals on us. But I think that's what that really was the defining change in the second half.
Now, man of the match. Pretty sure this is going to be unanimous. But
yeah,
I'll let you start. Go ahead.
Oh, it's Pedin, 100%. 100%.
And I see there's some Pedin's mom. I see there's some calls here. I think we'll get into the Pedin stuff. I'm going to save that. I saved some questions here. So while you're here, anybody get your Storm the Barn questions, because I think Al can't stay with us for the whole show. So me and Chuckle Nuts over here, we're gonna be handling the Storm the Barn questions today to finish off the show. Yeah, Luca, this is a bit of a problem. People don't understand how much of a loose cannon you and I are, and this
is not good.
This stage is not a good idea. It's not a good idea, but we're gonna do the best with it. Oh, okay. We're gonna try it one more time.
We're gonna be serious, guys. We need Bert to keep us in line, because if not, this is going off the rails.
Yeah, there's gonna be like swearing and vulgarity.
Talk slowly, Al. I think it's when you speed up. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's working good.
Yeah, so far, so good. Keep going.
Okay.
No. He says okay like 3 times on the echo. You tried.
I guess this is sort of like how the game went yesterday, right? Like we had a plan. We put a plan in place, and then, like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So
punch in the face or punch in the mouth?
Either way, they're both in the same spot, Luca. So, Luca, your hands down.
Better. It's not getting any better.
How about you just sit there for a minute? Let us answer the question, and then we'll throw it to you in a second.
Use your hands, Bert. Yes, Anthony. Let's hear it.
And then we'll get to the studs up in a minute, which is going to be a little bit different, because I didn't have a lot of I didn't have anybody yesterday that really stood out as someone who deserves that. Man of the match. I know you do. I do. Man of the match, obviously, Pedin, couple big saves. He had that big one at the end, that kick save at the end. Man, I think I have to agree with you on this one. There's, Danilo had a good game. I thought Danilo had a good game.
Yeah, agreed.
I thought the back line, other than like Bonucci, was a little shitty. I wouldn't have started him. Yeah, but I thought Bremer played well. Danilo played well. But in terms of the other side of the spectrum, let's go with the other side. If you're going to go, maybe not necessarily a player, or maybe it's on Max, maybe it's the system. What on the game yesterday do you want to go studs up on? Now, I'm going to try not to go lose my head over this one like last week, but for yesterday's game, give us your studs up opinion. Oof. This is pretty much unanimous. I think we all agree on this one.
Yeah, well, is, still will be, I think, not just past tense. Bonucci was, and always will continue to be slow. Okay, so Eric, I think this is all I could really think about. Yep. For me, the biggest studs up issue yesterday was, and there's a perfect clip that depicts it, you can go back and find it, is as soon as the ball goes to Juan's feet on the right side, he could have maybe 2-3 kilometers, or whether you use miles, whatever you want to use here in terms of a unit of measurement, he could have half the pitch to himself. He will turn around and pass it back to Pedin. He slows down every play that went through him, aside maybe one where he tried to dance through, and then I think he heard another person whistle and he like stumbled on his own shoe at the end. I don't know what happened, but he doesn't have the confidence to take on the man anymore. And when he does, he loses the ball or he backtracks. I can't remember a single moment of yesterday's game where the ball went through Juan and there was a positive play coming from it. So for me, it's not just this game, but since we're only talking about this game, definitely the only negative that I really want to focus on, because the others, like you said, whether it was Max's plan or the strategy, it got adjusted with time and got better. Juan Cuadrado did not get better.
And that's hard to argue, but I'll probably just add on that. Mine is probably Juan, plus the fact that whenever we won possession, like when Meretti won possession, or I think you want to know something? I think Paredes had a good game yesterday too. I don't think you agree with. I think you're the one who didn't really agree with that.
Yeah, no, I'm shaking.
You were sort of. I thought he was. I thought, okay, let me say my piece. And we'll actually, no, Paredes, keep going. You're already emotional.
No. I better that I'm not emotional. Continue. Say your studs up point. Where you're going is what I was going to say too.
So whenever he had the ball, it seemed like the plan was always to slow it down. There was a couple times when we built up quickly, but I was watching the game. I was lucky enough to watch another game with my dad yesterday, and he hasn't watched a lot of Juventus this year, and he's like, "What? Why are they moving the ball so slow?" I'm like,
Good for him.
That's what they do. That's what they're doing. So my thing was, my main issue with the game yesterday was whenever we won possession and the turnovers, oh my God, they were killing me. But whenever we won possession, it was always outwards. It was never through the middle. You could see that like Milik came back, was trying to win the ball. Some of his passes were sometimes to Vlahovic, but Vlahovic was making good runs. It's just we always went sideways. And that was the one thing that was really grinding my gears yesterday. But I thought Paredes allowed Locatelli to push further up the field. I don't even know what's funny. I think you just
continue. Please continue.
On drugs. But going back to Paredes, I thought he had a good game. You seem to disagree with that. Why is that?
I think as the game progressed, Paredes did grow into the match. His confidence was there when we started to actually exploit the space, because by second half, we were a lot more spaced out. PSG was a lot more open. And whenever we won back the ball, he was that driving force. He would look forward and pass it. And he would do that perfectly fine. My only issue with him, you said what grinds my gears. I'm going to say my line and say what really pricks my ass is that Paredes, unlike Locatelli, just doesn't follow his man as a regista. And this is a major point on the first and second goal, in the sense that space, that area between both your Metsalas, in this case, whether it was Miretti, Rabiot, whoever afterwards came in, that space in the middle, if it's not your center backs pushing up, it's got to be him. And he was not shifting. He was just staying still until the ball came to him. And that bothered me. With Locatelli, we could nitpick on his play recently. But one thing I'll always die on, and what he will die on, is that ball, if it's in that area, he is on it like a fly on shit. Like he is glued to that player. Make sure whether it's a foul or not.
Be on, honey.
Yeah.
Be on, honey.
He is stuck to that player, and he does not let them through. So for me, that was the only downside of Paredes I did not like, was his lazy defending.
Let's try this. Let's try. Maybe this will help. Let's try this.
Oh God, no! Put me back down, please.
Oh wait. He's lying.
Al.
He's joking. He's joking. His volume is up.
Well, I don't hear anything, so that's not even. There's no echo because we don't hear anything.
Hello.
So the echo's gone. No, you're just.
I hear him. I hear him.
Can you hear me?
There he is. Okay.
Are we good?
Possibly.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But what did you do? Go kick the internet guy in the ass?
Almost
That's
burnt
what I
my
did.
house to the ground trying to sort that. Full restart on everything.
What happens
Okay.
up out in the West? You guys are weird.
Okay, you want to know something? This has to be transparent to the listeners. Before we get to Al's opinion, one thing I'll say about Paredes is I don't even think he knows everybody's names yet. So let's give him like 15 minutes to kind of get integrated. I know, Al, I think you and I were on the same page with Paredes yesterday. And, I think maybe Champions League might suit his style more. Let's see how he operates in Serie A. What was your thoughts on Paredes yesterday?
I already know, based on our AJC group chat,
I said
where
my
Luca left off without even
said my
being part of the show now. So he's going all in on Paredes.
No,
Not
no.
really.
I was half. I had
He was
goods and
fair.
bad.
I think we see the good. I think we see the good that's there that can help. I think the parts that frustrated Luca were valid, but I think it was also like a team approach in the low aggression defensively, because I was saying earlier before my audio just crapped me out, whatever, but we have to play with a little bit more pressure. You can't let PSG be comfortable in what they do and set up those tic-tac-toes and give and goes and everything. Like, you have to just fight. Again, like I was saying before I left off, if you're sacrificing talent and you're going to lose the possession battle, you got to at least fight and be aggressive there. But
Is that
is
a
triple
TFC
nuts.
cup? Is that a TFC cup, Anthony? Anthony, if you're
yeah.
using another club on this podcast, oh my God.
It's that's kind
Are you gonna get
of
the
just
t-shirt?
how I feel, but I wouldn't fault
I get the
Paredes.
t-shirt?
Like, I think the good that's there is coming through. Give them some time. I'm more concerned with everything else, like the cohesion, like offensively. When I watch this game, even in the second half that everybody was telling me was so good from Juventus, I saw a bunch of forwards and mids all standing around when our flank players got the ball. We barely tried to play in the middle of the pitch. The support wasn't there, so we would move the ball, we'd hit a flank, Kostic and Cuadrado would be ruled out, and then they'd have to go backwards. But when you look up top, when our distributors did get the ball in the first half, when Moretti would be on the ball, when Paredes was on the ball, even with Kostic, stagnant up front. No off the ball movement. You watch PSG, the second they dial it up, boom, everybody's moving, everybody's trying to create a lane, and there you go. The other part is the few times we did make those runs, I don't know why for the life of me we're not actually trying to get the ball to those runs. Either our players aren't seeing it or they're just not confident in themselves. One way or another, that is something we have to work on because we're so stagnant up top. We're not going to give defenses trouble, let alone one that's got decent talent at the back. So for everybody that tries to tell me, well, look at their lineup compared to ours, 2-1 is good, whatever, that's great. So are you telling me Sampdoria? Are you telling me Spezia? Are you telling me Fiorentina are level to the talent of PSG? Absolutely not. Yet we see the same patterns, and that's my frustration. It's not that this result, of course it could have been worse, and I think it would have been worse if PSG went full throttle. However, I can't deal with this issue that we see the same patterns game in, game out, whether it's 25 minutes, where it's 35 minutes, it's 65 minutes. We talked about in the Match Day Live going to it. We have way too many spells of football that's just uninspired. And yesterday, we wasted another half of football, in my personal opinion. That's how I feel about that game. No, if people are free to feel however they want about the game, for me, it was another wasted at least 35 minutes of football, if you don't want to say the entire first half.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes to everyone's point is that, so they were sort of lazy, lack of energy. Whenever the passing lanes opened up, they weren't fast enough or quick enough to exploit those lanes, like especially when Vlahovic was making runs. Like I just checked right now, he only had 23 touches yesterday, which I guess is not too bad for a number 9. But
it got better.
That was a game where he was making good runs, but sort of like slow pace. We weren't quick enough to get those to make those decisions, and that's definitely. I agree with you there. That's something that has to change. Is the speed, like the intensity. Pick it up a little bit.
It's slow paced, and I think if you watch Allegri and his style of play, this is identical with his thought process. He's got his 2 pivots in the back, whether it's Rabiot, Luca, or Paredes, and they're moving side to side, but your flanks are staying more or less stagnant, moving back and forth maybe, and then you have your center option of Dusan just standing there waiting. That's all it is. If you look back at our last 2 coaches previous to Max, there was always some sort of movement. It wasn't perfect, but this is Max. This is how he plays. It's get it out wide and swing it in. It hasn't changed. I don't see it changing, and that's what frustrates me.
Yeah, it's got to be worked on. It's got to be more well drilled in the training sessions and whatnot. But up front, it is way too easy to defend us. We are far too predictable. How many times did we see against PSG yesterday one of our players have to fight off 3 players just to maintain possession with next to nothing for support? That can't happen. You're gonna fail no matter who you play. If you're just constantly not supporting and the movement isn't there, and this is another reason why I talked earlier about Moretti playing an attacking mid centrally rather than on one side to get rid of this hybrid thing, and you just give him less area to cover, put him right in the middle. It's a closer link up. So if you're playing 2 forwards and you have your attacking mid in the center, it's a lot easier to form passing triangles than it is keeping one guy on the left side who's supposed to be your main source of attack out of the middle. Because then when the ball gets to the right side, we saw exactly what happens. Cuadrado gets it. It's 1v1, or it's pumped over Bonucci's head all the way backwards in attack because he's got nowhere to go or doesn't have the confidence of taking the guy 1v1.
I can't think of any instance in the game yesterday where Meretti, Milik, and Vlahovic worked any sort of
No,
triangle play in there. I honestly can't think of one. I don't remember it.
no.
It may have happened, but I don't
There's a
remember.
lot of work to be done, but those that are, happy with that second half, I think it comes more than anything from the score line. And you have some opportunities there, but were they really high quality opportunities? Vlahovic header was very, very soft. It was going back post, but Donnarumma handled it. Nobody there for the rebound. Kostic, I talked about Kostic a couple times. Weird angles that he's trying to volley those, like beat a guy in, cut it right foot. I don't know. Try something else. It's a tough one. For me, I still need way more. But scoreline, we could be happy that, sure, it was only 2-1. But is that really something we should be happy about? Because you have a big part of the fan base that says, why are we happy it's just 2-1? Sure, we're happy it's not a blowout. But did we do anything to really trouble PSG and put them like actually under impose our will? I don't feel we did. I feel like that cross from Kostic, McKinney got the header to it, but
that was a Donnarumma mistake.
That was a great header, though. A great header.
Donnarumma had no business going out that one.
Did you guys find that Donnarumma made his saves seem bigger than, like, more flamboyant than they had to be? Like, I wouldn't say he made great saves, but they were just like on him, like here. Yeah, he was bored, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we didn't trouble them that much, really. I don't think they were worried. I think Ramos barely pulled a sweat yesterday. The reality is, when we were doing things around the box, the bandana was. When we were moving around that box, there were a few moments where there was like just fumbling around, and it's like, for the love of God, just bury the ball. Like, that was maybe the only, like, it happened twice, and I think it was the only moments where they got nervous and we got excited. But besides that, I mean, that was just sheer luck and maybe one guy missing a header. But besides that, it's not like we penetrated their lines or, made a good link-up play. No, it was just Kostic, Juan, guys, swing it in. If it happens to come to my head, I'll do my best. See you next week. I can
remember one pass that Paredes made that went through.
Outside foot?
No, it was like right through the middle.
And to Vlahovic on the run.
Yeah, it was an outside foot.
That was the one pass that went through 1 to 2 lines, almost 2 lines of PSG.
I don't think Vlahovic was good at all yesterday.
I agree with that. He was subpar.
I don't think he was good at all. And he definitely has to work on control. If we're gonna play in this manner, he's got to work on.
It doesn't suit his style, though, Bert, and I think that's.
I know,
that might be
but
the
I'm
issue.
saying this is why it's not.
Yeah,
it's not, the pieces aren't making sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to Max to do that, right? But I agree with you. It's not his game. But if we're gonna play in this manner, you can't afford to have that guy not be able to control. It's a big difference when Milik's on the ball and Vlahovic is on the ball.
They should just switch. I don't know why they don't rotate.
Well, it's tough. Did you guys go? You gave your man of the match, I take it. Did you guys go studs up on anything? Was the studs up Paredes?
I gave mine. Did you give yours?
Quadrado. Mine was the whole lack of like penetrating passes. Everything. Whenever we had that momentum, we always went out to the side. Nothing. There was no build-up play through the middle. Everything got slowed down.
I think, if anything, I go studs up again on just the attitude and the approach and this inconsistency of putting together the solid minutes, like starting games flat or getting better in the second half, starting off good in the first half, trailing off massively in the second half. For me, it's like, why can we not be consistent from the outset and at least like approach games in a proper manner? I'm not saying that going all out, this is what a lot of people, I'm reading these opinions on social media and whatnot, and it's like, that was the right decision to not go all out against PSG. We're talking about different things here. I'm not saying play a high line, go full bore with PSG. Obviously not. Okay. But you could still shell up. But the difference is when we shell up, the pressure was low on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that against PSG. So it has nothing to do high line, whatever. You could still play in that manner, but you still need the proper aggression. You can't make it comfortable for them. For God's sakes, Verratti, we didn't even try to rule him out. Verratti had his way yesterday. That's why I say, if they wanted to dial it up more, that could have got extremely ugly. The Verratti's the one guy you needed to force Vitinha, who's also a good player. and has been doing very well this season for PSG.
Yeah.
But you can't leave it in the hands of Verratti and make it easy and comfortable. My God. And then you make it easy and comfortable for Mbappe, Neymar. Like, it could have got worse. For me, the aggression, that attitude has got to be outset, and the drive. Tempo and pace of play, without question, when we're on the ball, come on. Pick it up. Pick it up, for the love of God. There's a lot of work to do at Juve, but we knew that already. In terms of what everybody's talking about now, even Max, he comes into the press conference. Obviously, we talked about at the start of the show. Szczesny will be back. I don't know if I'm happy with Perin, but regardless, Szczesny will be back.
Don't you dare say it.
Di Maria will be back. Chiesa, maybe, for the return match. Do we believe that all the problems are solved? Because now I'm being told, imagine that game yesterday with those guys. Does that fix that game?
Tony?
In your opinion, will Juventus be a much stronger side with those players?
Well, you swap Quadrado out for Chiesa, yes.
That's already a good start. But
Di Maria for
mixed
Kostic.
feelings on Chiesa as a wingback.
Yeah.
For playing 3-5-2. You swap him yesterday for Chiesa, he's a wingback.
Yeah, that's a good point. Does Pogba make a difference? Fully healthy Pogba make a difference in that game?
I don't know if we surrender all that possession. Like, do we still all of a sudden try to go out and control possession?
Look, I had said first half yesterday, after first half, that no matter if we had these players, the way we handled that first half, you could have had God on the field. We still wouldn't have done anything. The second half, the second half, I think, because there was more space and because it opened up more, yes, if you had Chiesa attacking that right side instead of Juan, or if you had Pogba giving those balls through, the actual defensive line rather than Rabiot, I mean, yeah, there could be an argument for it, but I still think it would have been, if anything, it would have been just as embarrassing if we hadn't, which, I mean, again, individual brilliance, is that what we're going to rely on every time? I don't know.
I think if I look at
Yes,
this
he
team
does.
and you bring those players in, I think the execution gets better, but what's the plan? I still see systematic issues. Like the execution would be better because you're swapping a more skilled player than another, but we still wouldn't have a team system, in my personal opinion, with those guys in there, and we'd still be relying on them heavily. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. Some people are of the opinion that even if you have great individual talent, if you don't put it together and you don't play well together, it's not going to amount to much. And that a team that you play against that works hard as a team would still overtake that. And that's kind of what I'm left to believe, is that even if we're bringing in our key guys, the overall isn't there. And then, of course, you can make the argument, well, the overall hasn't been there from the outset. They'll need time, whatever. And we get into this carousel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes around and round circles. That's why I'm just breaking it down to being as simple as possible for me. I need that effort and work rate out there from the outset. Danilo said it best in his post-match presser when he just said, we need to attack the next opponent from the outset and play the right game from the get-go. There's absolutely no reason, and we should be playing all these games to win from the outset. Thank you, Danilo, for
saying it.
Good interview.
Fucking saying it how it is.
Thank you, Danilo, okay, for just saying it how it needs to be. And anything else is just that we're trying to feed ourselves. It's kind of like, I don't know, we're letting the standards slip, right? And I get it. We're in a rebuild. We're transitioning. But for God's sakes, just have that fight and that determination and that tenacity. Don't walk into PSG. And another thing I noticed during this game, I don't know how anybody else felt about it, but Ramos puts his hands on Paredes' neck, okay?
That's a red card. I saw that afterwards.
He gets the yellow, whatnot.
Yeah.
I need somebody to go through the damn guy the next time, not get pushed, because he gets pushed. He pushed our players around at will, and it was just like, guys, we have become soft. Never did I see the day. Never did I think I'd see the day that PSG had players that would push Juve around.
I think the only person that would have made an actual scene there would have been Luca Pellegrini. If he was in that side, he would have bashed him. He's the only one that has an attitude on this team from recent memory.
Yeah. It was a frustrating. That's one thing that frustrated me about yesterday's game as well. Is just seeing us not have that pushback and that heart. And I swear to God, when teams struggle, that's the only way to get out of that slump and to get going again is to start outworking your opponents.
Yep.
And I just didn't see that from PSG. That's why I'm kind of on the more pessimistic side about that game, is because people were happy. Scoreline, a better second half. Sure. There was also nowhere to go but up after the first half. Keep that in mind. But for me, we didn't outwork them, and we should have at least done that. If you're going to sacrifice the talent and the possession, at least outwork them, because that's your shot at getting something out of that game, in my opinion. Now
he's so limited, isn't it? What does that mean? He's limited.
He's not
limited in what he can do in terms of play and on the pitch, but I think he's been
he's a defender
so far this year.
Yeah, he's a defender.
He's been playing center back. We played 3 center back system yesterday. I don't know. He was good.
He was
got
good
that
in the
mix
second.
up with Kostic on that goal that hurt.
Yeah.
But he also stopped a lot yesterday and whatnot. So his work rate is at the level we need all the other guys on as far as work rate.
At his age, he's been playing game in, game out. Don't forget. And yesterday, second half, he was hustling still to the end. So for that, give him all the praise he deserves.
Yeah, but again, just that work rate. And Danilo, regardless of being limited, whatnot, it's that work rate for me. Juve's got to dial that up. That should never go away. Even when you plug in the talented guys, if you don't work hard, like, it's only going to be so much. So I don't know if that comes from the coaching. I don't know if that comes from the training. I don't know if these guys don't have the legs because they're being overtrained. That's another question mark. But I don't know, this feeling that the key guys are going to come back, all of a sudden all our problems go away. I feel like I was buying that last year. Do you guys feel the same about that? I feel like I bought into that last year and it never amounted to anything.
Well, we haven't seen it, right? Like we've seen flashes of it. We haven't seen them all on the field. So, and that was going to be my point. My question before is sort of a comment, really. That game yesterday did nothing to help the Allegri in people or help the Allegri out people. Like, there was nothing really gained or lost in that game. It was like, well, we were supposed to lose, but we played well. Should we have tied? Maybe we could have won. Well, no, it's PSG. They could, that game really didn't add anything to anyone's agenda, right? It was just, for me, it was just a game that sort of went as expected, but was it better than I was expecting? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Saturday will be the game. Let's see how that turns out. I'm kind of conflicted there. It's like, no one's agenda advanced from that game yesterday.
That's not true.
Has to be 3 points. Salernitana absolutely has
Saturday.
To be.
That's right.
Yeah,
and I won't accept anything less against Salernitana. My God, if we're talking about anything but a win on Sunday,
is it Sunday?
Kick his ass to the curb.
This internet might just fry up completely. I'll tell you that. It'll be fired right up. Tuchel obviously sacked today by Chelsea. This gets Juventus. We saw it in our live chat. Again, I'm sticking with what I said yesterday. I do not see Juventus pulling the trigger on Max during the season. And here we have B1897. If we do not win against Salernitana, Allegri is done. I want to get your thoughts and your opinions on sacking a manager mid-season. Should we look into this and do this before we even get into possible replacements? Because that's another big question mark, is who's the right guy. But would you guys, what's your boiling point for even doing it? Would you even do it? Because I'm not so sure I'd even do it, to be honest. But it would have to get, actually, I can't say that because it would have to get pretty damn bad. Anth, what do you think?
Well, I said this on the pregame yesterday, is that sacking a manager mid-season, it causes way too much disruption, right? Because you sack the manager and the new manager comes in, he wants to bring in his own staff. So then you have disruption in the staff. Maybe it'll help J Medical, possibly, because you get new physio people in there. They're not really always linked to the manager, though. But what what good is going to come of that? It'll make some people happy. Is it going to change anything? We still have the same set of players. Would I be surprised? No, but I don't see it happening. Omer brought the point yesterday. Costs way too much money. Like the severance package in this guy is going to be crazy because he signed for 5 years. So you think there's something in there that we have to pay him for the next 3 at 7 or 9 million a year. Like as much as people want to see it, I really can't see it happening. Not this early in the season.
So you can't see it happening. I don't really see it happening. Luca, what do you think?
It financially just makes absolutely no sense with the whole ideology we've had this past transfer market, which like trying to save money and do as much as possible with what we have. It just doesn't make any sense. Every reporter, every pundit, everyone's been saying, this team has been going through changes because it's one coach after another. We finally have one coach who's been here longer than a season. He's been the pivotal decision maker in a lot of the transfers, finally gets the players he wants, and we're going to sack him on game week 4. Like, look, if we lose against Salernitana, there's a big hit to his agenda, and I will not defend him at all for it. But I think sacking him, like, 1, who do you bring in? 2, what do you do with everything you've just been planning? Like, it's the same thing with Chelsea right now. It's like they just spent, I think, the biggest amount they've ever spent in a transfer window for their coach, and they're just going to sack him like 3 weeks in. Like, there's no reasoning to it. I don't see us better off. Like, besides making a few people happy on Twitter, what else is it going to do for this team? I think we stick with it for the season and then judge at the end.
Yeah. So obviously Tuchel, being the one that literally came in mid-season with Chelsea, they won Champions League. There are other scenarios of managers succeeding, but like when you look at some of these replacements, do we need a motivator? Like Max isn't a motivator. I've been saying this a lot lately, and maybe we need more than anything a motivator just to get that work rate up. To me, this team looks lazy.
Don't say content.
And I don't know if it's because of the defensive approach or whatnot. People saying we always look gassed. Well, playing on the back foot makes you gassed because you're constantly playing without the ball and you're chasing it. So if we're not going to control possession, you're going to have to be in an extreme fitness to play the amount of ball we've been playing so far through 6 matches without it. Like you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get gassed. You're spending all your work rate on the defensive phase. It's way easier to play with the ball than without it. So, I don't know. It's anybody's guess what's going to be best for us. We said before the season even started, though, short leash for Max Allegri. Anthony said that. I was asked, how much do you give him? How much do you give him? A third of the season, I said, depending on where the standings are. And this is why I'm getting into this now. Like, I don't see Juve doing it, but if we realistically fall off of the race in Italy, like the Scudetto, whatever, top 2, top 3, if we fall out of there, if Champions League qualification doesn't go according to plan, like the group, if qualifying out of that group doesn't go according to plan, and it might not even be the full group qualification, if we come out of the first round of games looking pretty ugly, like maybe, just maybe, they could pull the trigger. I would not be surprised. But what worries me is, what is their actual plan? Like, who would be the plan? When we saw Sarri come in, that felt like last resort. That did not feel like that was the guy they wanted. So are they even looking at somebody right now? Do they even have a plan as a backup? Like, say, hey, if this goes all wrong, his return goes all wrong, like, what are our options here? Like, that's the part that concerns me the most, because the last time we got rid of Max, it was not done properly, in my personal opinion. Would you guys agree with that?
I don't remember what happened, to be honest.
Well, everybody got their hopes up that it was going to be Pep. It was going to be some type of manager. Last minute, it was like, sorry. And apparently,
sorry. I thought you were talking about like the actual like conversations, what happened, when they got rid of him. But that part. The one thing about the replacement is you almost can't the management can't line up a replacement because it's not like these managers don't talk. Like, who are we kidding ourselves? Like, it'll get through the grapevine. Like, if Arriva Bene could have been trying to, or Nedved are trying to line up the next manager, it'll get back to Allegri. Like, you can't, like, you start talking to Zidane and say, hey, by the way, don't tell anybody. Well, it'll get back to him. Like, it's a pretty small community.
I mean, you think Max is texting Zizou on weekends saying, "Oh, what are you having for lunch today?" Like, I don't think so.
I think managers talk amongst each other more than you think.
I think their egos are too big.
There's always the these media, the
Agents.
journalists, all that. They have their insiders. They have their informants,
It's
right?
like Hollywood, yeah.
It'll
We
leak.
have Lou, but I mean, if you want insider information on Hollywood, that's all we really get. We don't get much on the league.
It'll leak some way, somehow. Listen,
I don't think they have
we got to
somebody
get
lined
to
up.
Storm the Barn as we got time for a couple. Okay, so everybody get your questions in here now.
Lasso out because we're storming the
PSG
barn.
game, look, everybody was kind of mixed on how we were go into it, what was going to happen. Many predicted a blowout. It didn't happen. Are there things to build off of? I'm going to ask you guys the first question for Storm the Barn. Should we continue in a two-striker setup with Milik and Vlahovic, in your opinions? We're going to start with that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Milik takes a lot of pressure off of Vlahovic having to come back and do the dirty work because he likes doing it.
But they need to rotate more. I think Dusan standing straight in that corner, like just waiting, it's not a strong suit. I think they both need to move off the ball a lot more. But yes. Yeah. Sorry, Tony.
So
no, I'm good.
Until probably Chiesa comes back, I'm fine with the 2-forward system. Yep. I'm not fine with the 4-4-2 though, if that's how we want to achieve it.
Not in Italy.
So are you guys, the follow-up, are you okay moving to a 3-5-2 from here on out? Is the 3-5-2 better than what we were seeing before that 4-3-3 that shifted to a 4-2-3-1?
In the league, yes. I think 3-5-2 in Italy does better than it does in Europe. But it depends, again, who you're playing. Like, if you're going 3-5-2 against Inter, which basically does the same thing, you're mirroring what they do, so that technically doesn't work to your advantage. But, I mean, against Salernitana this weekend, depends who the back three is, really. That's a big question.
Anth, would you go 3-5-2 moving forward? Did you like it better than our 4-3-3?
Someone brought up a good point here that you can't really have both strikers playing. I think we need to give the 4-3-3 more chances because I think that's what we're going to be playing once everybody's healthy. I hope everybody's healthy soon enough, but so I think the 4-3-3 is the one that we should be deploying as much as possible. But we don't necessarily have everybody here to do it. So it's, I don't know, man. I'd say whatever scores the most goals on site, just use that one. Whatever gives the best attack, just use that one.
Yeah.
Jeez. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think until the guys are back, certain guys are fit, maybe a 3-5-2 would work. There's some shouts that a 3-4-1-2 with Di Maria being behind the strikers when he returns, but I feel like we're too narrow in that setup. And I don't know. Most importantly for me, beyond setup, beyond formation, that attitude's got
well, you asked formation.
Del Piero, Chiellini watching the game together yesterday at number 10 and talking about the Juve and whatnot. Del Piero's words leading into that game, we're Juve. We're always Juve. And we should be Juve even in Paris. Danilo's words after the match. Everything's got to match. Arriva Bene. We've got a question, Storm the Barn, we're going to get to. First, the AJC tweet of the match.
Oh, I already know.
Well, this one felt like
this one.
VAT 97 there. PSG on the attack with Mbappe. Juve's defense. Here you go. It felt like that anyways. Definitely at the start. Funny tweet though. Funny tweet from VAT 97 there. Let's get to the Storm the Barn questions. So, do you think management should call out Allegri? And embarrass his well, let's leave out the embarrass his dumbass. But do you think management needs to call out Allegri? How do you? I don't really know what they can do to really call him out, and I wouldn't expect anything like that. Anything that's going to be discussed with them is going to be behind closed doors. Anything that happens with Allegri and management and whatnot, I do look at little tidbits, like for signs, for instance. even going back to before when Nedved used to come out and speak a certain manner and Allegri's didn't really follow suit. I always looked at that and I was like, we're just not all on the same page. Like something's going on there. And I was basically laughed at and people were saying, no, you're looking way too much into it. These things mean nothing, whatever. I'm like, well, do they? And sure enough, Max gets sacked and everybody's like, whoa. And I'm like, well, they're just not lining up. Right now, Arriva Bene, we shouldn't fear anybody. I don't think we put forth a performance that shows that we're not fearful of our opponents. And the sad thing is, while everybody talks about PSG's roster, we were having the same discussion against Spezia, against Fiorentina, and against Sampdoria. And we sadly were not feared by other teams, and we play a little fearful of teams we shouldn't be scared of. That's the reality. I don't think management's going to call out Allegri. Should they? I don't think it does. It doesn't change anything, in my opinion. What do you guys say?
You ever go to Walmart? You ever go to Walmart and you see that really odd-looking couple that are both wearing pajama pants and they're arguing at each other in the chips aisle, and you're like, just go in your car, go home and argue. You look really weird standing here arguing. You look like a couple of psychos. That's what it would look like if Arriva Bene came out and called out Allegri. They would be the pajama couple in the chips aisle at Walmart. It solves nothing, and you look like idiots.
Yeah.
It looks dysfunctional, is what I'm saying.
Let's change the question to this before it hits Luca. Would you be surprised if Arriva Bene says something in regards to Allegri in the press based on how he's treated players and during the Mercato and contracts ending and whatnot? Would you be surprised if Arriva Bene starts to hint at certain disbeliefs in our manager?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And being in full agreement with Anthony, like I don't think they necessarily should, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Anth, would you be surprised if he did?
I think he would do it in a manner that says, "Hey, we understand people's frustrations. We have these discussions. We're working on it." He would word it something like that to say, we're in constant communication with Max and the play style and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Not to say that he wouldn't agree with it or disagree with it anyway. He would just say something along those lines.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I would not be surprised. A little busy here. He missed it when my mic was going bananas. I actually think it was all your monitors,
Max headroom,
all your devices.
ALS? Is that ALS?
The Pogba latest. The Pogba latest is that the surgeon who operated Rossi says it is in fact 8 weeks recovery. So all the stuff at the beginning of the season has totally been contradicted now. And he could have, in theory, been very, very close to a return had he had done the surgery before. This has been tackled a lot by us over the past 2 episodes. Everybody's got their own thoughts and feelings on how Pogba should have managed it and whatnot. At the end of the day, as frustrating as this is, knowing that, hey, you could have done it and been recovery bet, that part is frustrating. However, for a human and a player to opt out of surgery, I understand, to be honest. Is what it is. Sucks. 8 weeks, everybody. 8 weeks apparently is the one. We're going to get to this one from Swarit here. Maybe Chiesa. Obviously, that's Max Allegri's presser post PSG. Is this our last ray of hope in 2022? Your thoughts? Why are there so many contradictory reports on Chiesa's recovery? Guesswork. Probably just a ton of guesswork by the media, the journalists, everything, and also keeping tabs on his timetable. He was making good strides in the recovery process. Obviously, it's slowed down since. That can happen to everybody. Anth did a great job of covering that on the pre-match.
Explosive players like me and him have different timetables for recovery. It happens.
The only thing explosive about Ant is his high fiber diet. So let's get the last ray of hope in 2022. So,
yeah, I think Swarit's got to get ready for some cloudy days because the sunshine's not cutting through the clouds on Chiesa for 2022.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Last ray of hope. I don't believe we should be looking at it as a last ray of hope. We're still a team in transition. There's a lot of new phases. I would feel defeated and deflated if we're going to say this is the last ray of hope. So I'm not going to say it's our last ray of hope. No, if anything, and this was I've been stressing it a lot over the past 2 weeks. It's imperative Max gets this train rolling before Di Maria comes back, Pogba comes back, Chiesa comes back, because then it should just elevate us. We should not have to rely on these guys. They should be like luxury pieces that you plug in and it's like, okay, now we're going to cook. And this is why I said earlier in the show, I'm not sold on this theory that these guys come back and we're all of a sudden automatically world beaters. Like, I'm not sold on that. I felt for that last season throughout all the injuries. And then those players, those key guys came back and it was much of the same. So I'm not going to kind of fall into that. So how do you guys feel? Like, last ray of hope? Like, I'm not going to buy into that. I'm going to stick with Max needs to sort it out.
Luca?
People forget that the few weeks that Chiesa did play for Max Allegri were probably the worst in a Juventus jersey. Like, it was mediocre at best. So for everyone to think that he's Jesus Christ reincarnated and he's going to come back at full fitness and just bang go, no, you have to remember. And I guess the knee guy could, give his point on this. Right after all that rehab, you are not the same player. Not only is it a physical aspect, but there's a mental block and a mental aspect to it too. You got to get through that fear. So he's not going to come back at 100%. People need to realize that. And that's if he even comes back in a likely time frame where it's, beneficial to us. In my mind, Chiesa is not a Juventus player until at least March. And I say that in full aspect, that even full fitness, I doubt it. So whether Max says maybe, that's already a ton of bullshit right there. So take it with a grain of salt. Focus on what we have now, because like Al said, I wasn't sold on it last year when he said we're missing players. When we get those players, we'll be different. I still, worried to see what this team will look like when Pogba, when Angel is back, when Chiesa is back. We don't know. If it continues like this with this stagnant play, these guys are not going to prosper. And we see that with Dusan right now. He is inevitably one of the best players we've had in the last 10 years, and he's been playing piss poor at best. So there's a certain point where you could have the best player in the world. If you put him in a shit system like this, where there's no motivation, no desire, he's still going to be a shit player. I don't care how good he is.
Yeah.
The thing with Chiesa is...
I'm going to drop this one in here from Jace Part. You lot don't know what you're talking about. A fully fit Chiesa would cause pure problems. They will be playing a more defensive. I think you're missing the point here.
Yeah.
Nobody's questioning Chiesa's ability and the fact that he would cause problems. He would help the cause. However, we don't have to look very far. Look at the previous season before he got injured under Max Allegri. Chiesa was not the Chiesa of Pirlo's season. So that's what it's like. It's not questioning Chiesa himself. It's questioning Max being able to get the most out of him. Are we getting the most out of Vlahovic? Are we getting the most out of some of our other guys? Like even Di Maria when he was in the lineup. Are we getting the most? Were we getting the most out of him? It's not a question of Chiesa, Jason. It's a question of trust in Allegri. And Michael Razzo says he doesn't trust Allegri at all. So it's just this belief that these guys are going to come in and it's going to change everything. It's going to help. It's going to help, especially in quality and execution. However, does the overall change enough? Or are we still going to just be relying on these individuals? That's the problem. I need to see the team game. I need to see them try and work together and have some cohesion. That's been lacking, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, the one thing I want to touch on is just for the ACL thing is the surgery sucks. The rehab's even worse. I didn't have it. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what
I didn't have sports psychologists, but I'm sure Juventus does, and they'll be telling them, "Don't worry, your knee's stronger. You got to trust your knee." Right? Luca's right. It's a lot of it's mental, but and then he'll be in practice and he'll be with his teammates, and his teammates are going to lay off him, right? While he gets used to like cutting and getting back. It's the cutting. It's the stopping and starting.
Yeah, it's the stopping. Yeah,
that really messes with your mind. It's getting over that, and in the first game, getting tackled for the first time. And it's actually quite terrifying. Let me finish, Luca. It's actually quite terrifying when you come back from a knee injury and you get cut down the first time, it's almost like it jars you. You're like, you're kind of stunned a little bit.
Yeah.
So he needs to get through all that, and then he needs to get back like to full speed. So it's going to be a while. Like, don't expect him in 2022 to be there's a lot of hurdles. So 2023 is more realistic. And I've been saying that this whole time. Like, he had the surgery at the end of January. Like, we need to be patient with him.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is he's got to regain the trust in his body and whatnot and go through it all and play it. And if we expect everything like immediately, we might be a little bit disappointed. Miran Abulfadi here says, I give Max total of 12 league games to show us what he's got. That's pretty close because I said a third of the season. Anthony said about a third of the season. He's not optimistic, though, based on what he's seen so far. World Cup break is a great opportunity to bring a new coach. That is kind of the wild card with this season. The fact that if they chose to actually cut ties, they would have a decent opportunity to bring someone in and integrate them, regardless of losing some talent to the World Cup and whatnot. They would have the opportunity to have that squad and work with them and whatnot. So it's an interesting little wild card to think about.
And to help out the Allegri out people, and Raph in our group keeps bringing it up. I think Max has won 2 of his last 9 games coming from last season. 10. Okay, there you go, from yesterday. So, 2 of his last 10.
Look, the clock's ticking. The clock's ticking. It's got to get better. That's the one thing we can all agree on, whether people want to back Max or people are unsure, uncertain, and losing faith in Max. It's got to get better, regardless of what.
Right.
Something's got to change if it doesn't. How long? How long do you wait? Right now, let's just wait and see. In Italy, we are still, in striking distance there, but we got to start getting the results. This next string of matches, they got to be wins. I'm expecting the next 3 to be victories, and they better be. But not only that, we need to start showing some goddamn desire. The players themselves, I want to see that pride in them. I want to see that attitude. I want to see the right approach. Work to be done, everybody. Just kind of like this show was titled because PSG just showed me there's a lot of work to be done. Not expecting us to obviously be on their level, but when you're sacrificing some things, that fight's got to be there. Juve, I expect more. Everybody like the video. Okay, please subscribe if you're new here to the channel. Thank you all for joining in. I apologize for the technical difficulties at the start, but these guys helped save the day. Thank you to Chuckle Nuts and Ant here. You guys did a fantastic job. And let's all regroup. Okay.
Not my name, by the way.
See what happens, and then let's get ready for Salernitana on the weekend. Again, we will be live on that match day, and then I will try my best to bring another watch along. Those have been great. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning into those. Okay, but for us, there's still a lot of question marks that Max and Juve need to answer. Okay, you got to answer system, getting the most out of our players, working all together. I still firmly believe we get the right pieces back. They're just going to be plugged into positions. But overall, I need to see some strategy. I need to see some set plays, some creative cohesion amongst all those players. Whether it takes time, all this, of course it does, but we need to start working to that. If progress isn't made, and this is where it is, everybody's got a different opinion on progress. What progress is. Is it points in the standings?
Sure.
Is it our goal tally? Because last year we only finished with 57. Like, it's the progress. We need to start making progress. Okay. So starts with Salernitana. I expect a big time response after this one, and I hope that we see it. Okay. Grazie tutti. Again, Basil, Jeremiah, thank you again. Another great show. Ciao tutti. We will see you on the weekend. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. I'll bring you daily updates. Until then, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Ciao.